What's up, Grandstand Bettors? It is Matt here with Grandstand Bettors, joined again this week by Fish. Welcome in, Fish. How's your week been?
We went up to Cleveland to watch the Patriots Browns game, so that was pretty depressing. And then not going so well with the Guardians right now, so could be better. But we're here ready to talk some sports.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The Browns was depressing as hell. We're watching live as we do this stream, Cleveland and the Yankees, 5-1, bottom of the sixth. So it's 5-1, bottom of the sixth, runner on first. We'll keep you updated. But hey, let's get into today's show. And we are going to start with our opening face-off and the MLB playoffs. All right, so it has been an exciting MLB playoffs. I dove into the AL series. I know you dived into the National League series, and you're going to look ahead to the NLCS here. So, Mike, what's going on in the National League?
Yeah, I'll start with the Padres-Dodgers series. The Padres won that one 3-1. Pretty surprising to me. I think that they won it that decisively, and even with 3 games in a row to finish them off. So. They had some great outings from Musgrove, Snell, and Darvish. It was really just from their pitching. They had 16 and a third innings from them. They only got 6 runs against that Dodgers offense. What was even more impressive than that was the Padres bullpen. They pitched for 10 and 2/3 innings and only gave up 1 earned run over those last 3 games. So shout out to them. They look really good coming into this matchup against the Phillies. And the Dodgers, they had some great pitching as well. The Padres didn't put up an insane amount of runs in that series. But like we said, they really fell short across getting runs across the plate. Their offense, which ranked first in regular season runs, only had 24 hits in those final games. And they left 26 runners on base, but they just could not get runs across to keep that series going. So
Yeah,
Padres did what they need to do to get it into the NLCS, and like I said, they look good heading into that matchup with the Phillies. And speaking of the Phillies, they won their series against the Braves as well, 3-1. I predicted in our last segment, this was a high-scoring series. 3 of the 4 games cashed on the over, and a total of 37 runs were scored in those 4 games. Huge shout out to the Phillies bullpen as they really stepped up in this postseason after ranking almost in the bottom 5, I think, in the league during the regular season in ERA. And for the Braves, it really just looked like they did not want this one as badly as the Phillies after that kind of sad Game 1 loss where they almost came back in the bottom of the 9th thanks to that Olsen 3-run home run. But I think that really just shot their confidence. They kind of just played sloppily after that, got really outscored in those last 2 games, and they really only won game 2 because of Kyle Wright. Great pitching from him in that matchup. So, nice job by the Phillies and their bullpen, and both, good series overall. Kind of surprising the way they turned out, but should be a fun NLCS, which we'll get into here in a minute.
Yeah, it should be. And actually, I can't believe the Padres took that over the Dodgers. They actually, we have a future ticket on them, 17-1.
Yeah.
Listen, as a wild card team, I wasn't expecting them, especially with the Dodgers in front of them, to beat the Dodgers so easily, kind of. And that keeps our 17-1 future ticket that we gave out at the beginning of the season. So looking forward to hopefully that cashing. Listen, I watched 2 great AL series. The Houston Astros swept the Mariners 3-0. Now, that sweep doesn't really tell the story of those games. Game 1, Mariners took that massive lead into the 8th inning up 7-3. And then they conceded 2 runs in the 8th, and then they lost the game when Robbie Ray came in, threw 2 pitches in the bottom of the 9th, gave up a 3-run homer to Alvarez. Just awful. So, listen, after that game, you think, Mariners, lesson learned. Let's not pitch to Alvarez. No, wrong. Just 2 days later against Astros, the Mariners find themselves heading into the 6th inning with a lead, and Scott Service second-guessed himself maybe to go into his bullpen. He left Castillo in. It pitches to Alvarez again, hits a 2-run shot, and that was the difference in that game. And then in game 3, they did a much better job with Alvarez. The guy went 0 for 7. 0 for 7 because game 3 went 18 innings scoreless into the 18th. Although Alvarez was not really the guy that hit the home run. You have to say that he was a factor in that. The guy that was in front of him, Pena, was the one who hit the game-winning home run in the top of the 18th. And it was probably because he got a good pitch, because they didn't want to see Alvarez up that late in the game with only, guess who, left in the bullpen. Or I think it was Robbie Ray was pitching, or he was maybe the last guy in there. So, yeah, the two good series there. And Guardians-Yankees, we're in the midst, as I mentioned, of Game 5 right now. Runners on first and second, bottom 6, 2 outs. Karachek trying to get out of some trouble here. The Guardians, unfortunately, we were at this game on Sunday evening. They lost 4-2. The game of the series, though, was really Game 3. Gave the Guardians a chance here in this one with some heroics, with 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Before that collapse, the Yankees, they were 167-0 in postseason history with a multi-run lead there in the 9th inning. Regardless, honestly, of whatever team comes out of this matchup, you have to think in the ALCS that the Astros, their pitching staff, they're going to have a massive advantage to start this series, as neither of these teams really have rested since Friday. I know there was an off day yesterday, but they still had to go through the motions, get ready for that game, and then sit around. So I do think that there's a big advantage for the Houston Astros, and we don't want to speculate just yet about the matchup in the ALCS. But last week we did talk about how if you get on a good run in the postseason and you have good pitching and you're hitting home runs, just like the Astros are right now, it's hard to beat them. So without knowing who's going to win this game, and unfortunately as a Guardians fan, it looks like the Yankees. But it does look like the Astros might be the team to beat in the AL. What do you think? Who's coming out of the NLCS, as we did get out of that Karachek 5-1 into 6th inning?
Yeah, I think there's kind of just 2 areas where the Padres have the advantage in this one. First is their starting pitchers. The Phillies have had some rest, but I think they're going with Darvish first, so they still have him coming up, and they have Musgrove and Snell as well. Their bullpen's posting a 2.19 ERA so far this postseason compared to the Phillies' 4 ERA. And just, I think head to head, even with Wheeler and Nola, the Padres have the edge there. It's going to be tough for that Phillies lineup to match what the Padres are throwing against them. So they've got that advantage there, I think, and as well on the other side, I think the Padres also have the advantage now in their lineup. The Phillies did hit more home runs in the regular season, but I think it's a little skewed because the Padres didn't have Soto and Bell for the entire season. So with them now, they lead in the postseason. They have 9 home runs, and they also have the most walks and hits out of any team in the postseason. So this lineup really knows how to get on base. Really, whether it's home runs, just clearing the bases, or walks or hits. So it's gonna be tough, I think, for the Phillies to win this one, and you can get it at a great series price right now at -120 for the Padres. So I think they have the clear advantage in this one, and especially with home field advantage, they should walk away with this one and get into the World Series.
We hope so. Again, 17-1 future bet we have on them. So hey, hopefully they can. If they do get to the World Series, and it is Astros and the Yankees in the ALCS, it's going to be hard to beat either of those teams. But hey, enough about baseball. Let's get into some NFL. We're going to talk Thursday night football here in our next segment, which from last week is called Home and Away. All right, in this segment, it's going to pick Fish and I on opposite sides of the table. We're going to debate which team wins on Thursday Night Football, and let's look at where we stand after 1 week. And it is me. It is me, 1 up. I took the Commanders on Thursday Night Football, and as I told you, Fish, it was an easy win. But let's look at this week. We're taking the Saints and the Cardinals here on Thursday Night Football. So who do you have in this Thursday Night Football matchup, Fish?
Yeah, so I'm going with the Saints in this one. I think both of these teams are coming to this one. Well, they are 2-4, and they've just had some atrocious seasons so far. Both their offenses are underperforming, and their defenses have not been much better compared to last year. But the difference in this one, I think, is going to be the pass rush. Cam Jordan and the Saints front seven has been very disruptive for opposing quarterbacks. it's going to be very hard for Murray to have some time in the pocket. Even with his ability to get, run and get out of the pocket, he's been sacked 13 times this season and has hurried 27 times, which is the second most in the NFL. So I think it's going to be a similar game to the Cardinals and Rams in the playoffs last year, where the Cardinals offense just couldn't get anything going because of that pass rush. Murray just had no time to operate in the pocket. And the Saints are going to control the pace of this game by attacking that Cardinals run defense with Kamara. So I have the Saints winning this one 24-13.
Well, just like last week, Fish, you're out of your damn mind. Cardinals going to crush the Saints this week, and here's why. Yes, the Cardinals are 2-4 on the season, and yes, they did just lose to the Seattle Seahawks, but they're getting Hopkins back after he sat out his suspension. They just traded for Robbie Anderson from the Panthers. Now, will these guys put up massive numbers this week? Most likely not, but just allowing Murray to have some more weapons around him is going to be huge. Arizona, without those guys, putting up 350 yards per game, and they are going to be able to put up some points and yardage against a mediocre Saints defense. They're giving up 26.3 points per game, which is fifth worst in the NFL right now. Over the last 3 games, they've allowed 30 points per game, and that included Geno Smith in Seattle. Cardinals, honestly, despite their record, don't actually have a half-bad defense. They are in the top half of the league, only allowing 337 yards per game, including the 7th best rushing defense in the league, and they have been tested this season. They held Josh Jacobs to about 70 yards on the ground and McCaffrey to just 27 yards. The only thing that worries us is, can they account for Taysom Hill? Kamara has no rushing touchdowns on the season, despite averaging 4.6 yards per carry, while Hill has 5 touchdowns and is averaging 10.3 yards per carry. That guy pops off big runs every single week, it seems like. Either way, Kyler Murray going to be a different QB this week with Anderson and Hopkins back. Look for some optimism being played out on the field this week to take the Cardinals to victory with the -1.5 points. So I think it's going to be an easy win again, Fish. But hey, if everybody wants to see our best bet for that Thursday night football game, make sure you check out our Thursday night football pick coming out Thursday mid-morning. And speaking of picks, we're going to get to our guest picker in just a little bit. But before we get into that, we got to take a step into the penalty box. All right, well, hey, listen, it's time to think about teams that are hot, cold, and dependable here in the penalty box. So let's see what team is hot. Fish, what are you going with? What's the hot team right now for you?
Yeah, last week I went with Tennessee. It turned out pretty nicely as they upset Alabama. This week's I'm sticking with an SEC team, going with Ole Miss. They're 7-0 this season, putting up 40 points per game and only giving up 17 a game. They've covered in both away games this season so far, and with this one on the road against LSU, I don't know why, but they're underdogs, and they should win this one really easily with how well they've been playing this season. So I'm going with Ole Miss with my hot team this week.
That is a hot team. We're going to go into the NHL with our hot team, and we're going to look at the Anaheim Ducks, and you may ask yourself, why are they hot? They're 1-2 on the season. Well, it's fairly easy. They are awful on defense in this early season. They are giving up almost 6 goals per game with them on a back-to-back here against the Devils. The total of this one opened up at 6. We took that last night. I think it shot up to 6.5 now. But given their defense and goaltending early this season, look for the Ducks defense to give up more goals tonight to the Devils. On a side note, the Devils also giving up an average of 5 goals. So between the two, check this out. The over has hit 5 games to start the season for both of these teams. So take it for what it's worth. But the Ducks, very hot out of the gate with goals on both ends of the ice. So listen, that's our hot teams. But the best teams that I love to bet are those that are dependable. So what is your most dependable team right now?
Yeah, I'm going with the Ohio State Buckeyes. They have a breeze of a schedule coming up for the next 5 weeks.
Nobody cares about the Buckeyes, Fish.
They've got Iowa, Maryland, Northwestern, and Indiana and Penn State before Michigan.
Powerhouses.
they're gonna fly through that schedule. This is an easy team to ride with or ride out with and through the end of the season with the way their offense is playing. I think they're, especially against Michigan, they might actually they'll be at home, but I think it'll be a close spread in that one. But I'm marrying the Ohio State Buckeyes. They've got an easy schedule for the remaining of the week, and I'm going to ride them to the end of the season.
All right. I hate the Buckeyes. You know what? I would tag any Pac-12 team over a Buckeyes team any day of the week. But my team that I'm dependable, the one that I would marry right now, Atlanta Falcons, 6-0 against the spread. And last week, we had them actually in this segment as the team that was screwing us. But we jumped on their bandwagon. They won outright against the 49ers this past week. They play the Bengals this week, and they're 6.5-point underdogs at the moment. This week, we are a little skeptical with Burrow and the Bengals heating up. They had a slow start to the season. They're getting a little bit better as the weeks go on. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to kind of wait, see if we can't get that at +7 at some point during the week. But with Bucks and Tom Brady more focused on where he is sleeping week to week, the Falcons actually, I think, in our opinion, have a real shot of winning the NFC South. And if they can get things continually going here, especially on the offense and defensive side of the ball, I mean, they might make the playoffs this season. Falcons +700 to just make the playoffs, +700 to win the NFC South there, +310 to just make the playoffs. And they have a very favorable schedule. Panthers twice, Bears, Commanders, Steelers, Saints, and Cardinals. Those teams already combined 11 for 25 on the season so far. So I think the Falcons might be a team to ride with a little bit here. But let's speak of a team that's not fun to ride with. Who are you hating, Fish? Who are you hating?
The Carolina Panthers, man. They're 1-5 against the spread this year and 1-5 overall. So money line's not helping you there either. Baker's hurt. They had drama without Robbie Anderson, who they just dumped to the Cardinals. They're only a 1 week in with their interim head coach after firing Matt Rule. McCaffrey was announced. He's on the trading block. I mean, the list just goes on and on with this team, and they have nothing like at the end of the tunnel right now to look forward to. I'm killing this team. I don't want anything to do with them for this season.
Yeah, I would agree. And you know what? It kind of, as a Browns fan, kind of happy Baker Mayfield's in dealing with that this year, although the Browns suck again, so who knows? Listen, my wife's going to kill me on this one, but the team that I'm going to kill is her alma mater, and that is the University of Miami, Florida. They're 1-5 against the spread, and with the exception of that Bethune game in their first game of the season, Miami's been very underwhelming this season. They lost to Texas A&M, Middle Tennessee, and UNC in 3 consecutive weeks. And then they almost lost to Virginia Tech this past week. It's very hard to figure out this team week to week. And they are 8.5-point favorites against Duke. But honestly, I'm not touching that. Duke can put up some points, in my opinion. And it's too much to count on Miami covering for the foreseeable future. We're staying away from the Hurricanes. And that is the team we're going to leave in the penalty box this week. And we're going to let ourselves out, close the door behind us, because it is now time to get into some picks for the week. And before we get into our picks for the week, we are going to welcome in our bench warmer of the week. So this week we have Cole, and Cole is in the waiting room. So let's welcome him into the show. Hey, Cole, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Hey, thanks for joining. I saw you hopped on. I saw you were in there, so appreciate it. Listen, Cole, man, you got as much time as you want to talk about, but I think you got a good pick here in the Big Ten.
Yeah, so my pick is Penn State -5 this week. I don't know. Obviously, in my background, I have an Iowa flag, so no bias in the Big Ten whatsoever. But Minnesota aside, I mean, both teams can score quite willingly. Last week kind of showed that. I mean, other than Minnesota starting quarterback obviously getting hurt, Tanner Morgan. I truly think that we'll see how that goes, but their backup did not look great at all. He was 2 for 6, had 2 interceptions when he was in the game. So I think if they rely too much on that run game, which I think could very well happen, especially at Penn State, could go terribly wrong for them, especially with Penn State's. I know their rush defense was not good at all last week against Michigan, but I think that they're a very underrated team still. and think they can give Ohio State a run for their money again this year. I just think that with that being said, I think Sean Clifford always finds a way to win these games. Has that veteran leadership. And they played well recently. They obviously just ran into one last week on the road. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going, even though it's probably a more public play, but that's kind of my feel on this game.
Yeah, Cole, to be honest with you, man, I don't hate that play. And my only reasoning behind like supporting you on that is, they went up against a powerhouse. You're right. And they got destroyed. I mean, a lot of people thought it'd be closer than that. It wasn't. They popped off a lot of big scores there. Michigan did. And you know what? I think it's a good bounce back spot here. I think with the team being embarrassed a little, if you will, last week, I think they want to show the nation that, listen, that was just Michigan being that good and not us being that bad. I mean, what do you think? Like a nice bounce back spot here?
Yeah, I mean, they played pretty well at home. Other than the Northwestern game, they put up over 33 points in every game at home, while obviously playing Central Michigan and Ohio. But I think that with that being said, their defense hasn't gave up more than 20 points all year except for that Michigan game. So I think with them being more one-dimensional, especially Minnesota usually is more run-dependent, I think that's kind of what leads to these Big Ten sometimes lopsided games.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with you. And the cool thing is, in 2023, we're actually going to start betting our bench warmer of the day's picks. And then we're going to split all the winnings throughout the entire year with you guys. So we're going to put a $5,000 bankroll starting January 1st together. And on December 31st, if our bench warmers of the day made us like $2,000, we're going to split between all you guys. So that's something to look forward to. We'll definitely have to have you back in 2023 or any foreseeable future if you'd like to join us, man.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, I know touching on our Ohio State hot team, I know that's definitely a hot play this week. I know obviously everyone may not agree with Iowa's offense, obviously being an Iowa fan. But I think they may sneakily make that a lower scoring game than people may think. I don't know. There's some weird reason that it may land on like that 28 number that it started at, and it may not cover. So I think that's something that people should watch out for, is kind of my sleeper 1-2.
I like that, because sometimes with a high spread but a low defensive game, more times than not, that I bet you Iowa can cover that.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, are you too. Go ahead, right?
Sorry. The total's pretty low too for that game, right? At least from what I saw, it was like in the 40s, which normally isn't like a.
Yeah, let me. I can find it. Well,
it's 49. So
yeah, 49.
Yeah. So I mean, like, they may expect Iowa to score, but like at the same time, like, once Ohio State gets rolling, they're gonna get rolling regardless. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't play a terrible game against Michigan either, so they're not gonna. I mean, they're hopefully probably not gonna cover that by themselves. So I think that over/under is interesting, telling a little bit.
I do too. I like sometimes with that low number with the over/under to take the points with the underdog, because I do think more times than not, I mean, the only way they're basically saying if you want to take the over, you're taking Ohio State to probably do most of that scoring.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I just looked. Actually, the team total is not up on FanDuel. I don't know what you use, but I'm not seeing any team totals, because I think that could be an interesting play to see what those numbers come out as well. To maybe see what Iowa's team total is.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it maybe comes out at like 10.5, something like that. But I don't know. All right. Hey, Cole, thanks, man, for coming on. I appreciate it. Penn State -5. Everybody. Al's in the chat. Al's a huge fan of the channel. I know he's going to look at it. Al actually said here, before you go, Cole, Al says Syracuse +13.5. That's what he likes. So I don't know. We'll ride with that too, Al. We'll ride with that too. So, hey, Cole, thanks for coming on, man. You've been a nice supporter on TikTok, and you've transitioned over here to YouTube. So that's awesome. I appreciate it. And hey, man, everybody went down with Aaron Judge on our TikTok contest, as he did hit a home run. So everybody basically starting over tomorrow. I hope, man, you can hit 14 in a row. We want to give away this $500.
I know it's been a while.
It has. It has. All right, man. Hey, have a good night. And enjoy the weekend. Go UCLA, right? You're a Bruins fan.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Have a good one and appreciate you. All right, so that was Cole. Shout out to him. Thanks for coming on here in our second week. We're going to continue to get people a part of our following, a part of our subscribe list. Anybody that wants to come on, all you have to do is just email us at grandstandbettors@gmail.com, and you can come on and be our weekly bench warmer and give us your pick and just talk some sports with us. So thank you again, Cole. But now it is time to get to our picks for the day and the week. So let's light the lamp. All right, so it is time to do our best bets for Tuesday, October 18th, and the week of. I think, Fish, you have a bet for tonight, and you have a bet for the week. So what are you looking at tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking at the later game coming up in the MLB playoffs. Like we mentioned before, the Padres and Phillies averaging 8.96 runs per game in the regular season. And they're averaging over 9 runs per game this postseason. Two of the best pitchers remaining in the postseason are on the mound this one, but I don't think that should matter as Wheeler has a higher ERA on the road throughout the season. Phillies bullpen should show their true colors in this one against the Padres lineup, and the Padres bullpen is bound to crack somewhere eventually after this stellar postseason they've had so far. So I like over 6.5 runs in this one in the NLCS tonight.
Yeah, actually, I don't mind that. I haven't really been paying attention too much to the National League. I know you have for us, which thank you. But looking at some box scores in the game, especially against the Cardinals and Atlanta. Philly's been putting up some runs. I like them maybe to stay hot here. So yeah, I like that as well. I personally, I'm the one who dives into our NHL. Been betting it for 25 plus years, and I'm going to look at an NHL prop bet tonight in the Bruins Senators matchup. Taylor Hall now is on that top line with Krejci and Pasta as a left winger, and he is on the top power play unit for the Bruins. Anton Forsberg is in goal tonight for the winless Senators, and through 2 games, this guy has faced 66 shots on goal and given up 5 goals. Taylor Hall has some big names on that Bruins power play unit with him, and he goes a little unnoticed and honestly overlooked by the books. Hall is going to have opportunities to be that trigger man tonight in situations. So we like Taylor Hall to go over his 2.5 shots on goal, and it's good price. It's minus 102. Now, Fish, what do you have for this upcoming week?
I'm looking at some college football. The Big 12 matchup between the top teams in that conference right now, Kansas State and TCU. It's on the road, or Kansas State's on the road in this one, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. I like TCU to cover in this one. They're at minus 3.5 right now. They're putting up over 100 more yards offensively than the Wildcats, and also more than 20 more points per game than them. The offenses are completely lopsided in this one. I think it's a bit disrespectful that it's only 3.5 for the 6-0 Horned Frogs, but I like them to cover in this one relatively easily, especially at home in this matchup. They've looked good this season.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. TCU been another good team. Every time you look, they're putting up points. I am going to look at football as well this weekend, but I'm going to look at the NFL Week 7, and I want to talk about Bucks and Panthers for a moment. The Bucks, they're 3-3 on the season, and they are taking on just a dumpster fire team with the Panthers. Kind of love, again, how the situation's played out for Baker Mayfield. Tampa and Brady, they are cruising in the passing game, 264 yards through the air per game. And for some reason, that's unfortunately not equating to points for this team. They're 20th overall in the NFL with 20.3 points per game. And it seems like they have a hard time getting into the red zone and utilizing the offense when they're in there, and scoring points in the red zone is just harder than anyone imagined for Tom Brady. Maybe it's because Gronk's not there. Who knows? Carolina's secondary has not been horrible, but they are going to give up some yards this week. And although the Bucs rushing offense is last in the NFL, only 67 yards per game, they may be in for a breakout week as it's a bad front 7 on defense for the Panthers. Panthers giving up 24 points per game, and honestly, I think Brady has had enough. You see it on the sidelines each and every week, and he's going to take it out on a bad Panthers team this week. The Bucks, they're going to put up 30, maybe 35 points in this one, and with the Bucks themselves giving up a 75% TD rate inside the red zone, no matter who is at quarterback this week, we do expect the Panthers to put up probably 13 points at least themselves. So with our best bet for this week in week 7 of the NFL, we're going to take Bucks Panthers over a very low total of 40.5 points. And honestly, Fish, I could see the Bucks putting up 42 in this game to just cover it themselves. So that's our picks for tonight and this week. That brings us to the end of our second ever 2 Goals, 1 Puck show. A huge thank you again to Cole coming on the program, giving us Penn State -5 and also diving into the Ohio State-Iowa game. Thanks to Fish for joining us. As always, Fish, good to see you, man. Hope you enjoyed that Browns game, even though we got our asses handed to us by the Patriots. Fish, you got anything else before we head out?
I just want to answer Al there in the comments. I like the over in that game as well. I think it's at 55 or around there, or last I saw. But both those offenses like to throw the ball a lot, and with that interconference matchup there between 2 of the best teams, they're going to be clawing away at each other all game, especially late into the fourth. Might not be. I mean, that game honestly might go into overtime depending on how things play out. But yeah, I like the over in that one too, Al.
Yeah, thanks for diving in, and Al, appreciate you stopping in as well as I think I saw Billy in there, so appreciate the support, guys. Hey, listen, that's been 2 Goals, 1 Puck for Tuesday, October 18th. I'm going to finish watching this Yankees game, 5-1, bottom 7. Another Yankee runner on base, Donaldson at bat with a 1-1 count. I don't know. Hopefully lightning can strike and we can hit a grand slam in the 8th or 9th inning and tie this one up. But I don't see it happening. Clause's bat already in, and I just think this is the end of the season. I think it was the end of the season when the game got postponed last night. So I'm going to go in the fetal position. I'm going to cry my tears away for the end of the Guardian season. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is roll the credits. Have a good night, guys, and we'll see you next time.